Hello, I hope that you're doing well. This video is intended to capture my experience as a first-time cruiser on Carnival Cruise Line and specifically the Carnival Conquest. This video is going to consist of videos and pictures and some guidance that I would give anyone who's a first timer regarding cruises, and I'll also give some insights on what I wish I would have done or what I would do differently. Starting with the hotel, I'm glad that I selected a hotel that was close in distance and had at minimum a shuttle that went from the airport to the hotel. Some offer hotel to port as well with a fee. If you're driving, you can also search for hotels that include parking in their rates, so you could maybe Uber to the port. Just consider that Uber rates may fluctuate, and also one thing that I didn't realize until I got there was, given the location, there may be some language or cultural barriers that you want to consider as well. The only thing that I had an issue with, which really wasn't an issue, was when I was coming from the port back to the hotel. My signal was horrible, so it was really hard to get an Uber. And also, if you are doing Uber Eats to the hotel, or you're trying to Uber from the hotel to different locations before you take off, sometimes the Uber might get confused, and if they don't speak English or your primary language, then it can be hard to communicate. So hopefully the hotel staff is friendly and willing to accommodate. I stayed at the Marriott Town Suites Airport, and I believe it was less than 15 minutes away from the terminal. And again, as you saw in the picture before, it did include a shuttle from the airport to the hotel, and I believe there was an extra cost to go to the port, which Uber was less expensive at the time. So getting to the terminal for departure was easy. It's similar to an airport terminal. Just knowing that your terminal is the right one. Sometimes what you see on your boarding pass is different than what actually happens. For example, on the boarding pass that we checked in early, it said one thing, but when we got there in person, it was completely empty. It had been moved to a different location. I'm pretty sure things happen. We did drop off our bags, which I would recommend. I don't think that you have to give the person who takes the bag a tip, but it's up to you. The lines were fairly easy, but what I will say is just make sure that you get there at the time of your check-in, because there was a line outside for those who arrived late or arrived early. So just make sure you arrive at your designated times. What you're seeing now is before we got on the boat, and there's only really one way to get on the boat, although there are many ways to get in line. So just look at where the boat is and try to go to the line that's not getting behind another line, if that makes sense. I'll stop talking here so you can take in the ship itself. I wanted you to soak in that this is a party cruise line, which I did not know. I didn't really have an expectation. So just make sure that the people that you're going with are all on the same page as far as going to have a good time. If you're going to relax, then there are places on the ship where you can relax, but just know that pretty much everybody's intention is to have fun. You saw that the rooms only open at a certain time. I strongly recommend, in deciding which cruise ship you decide to go on the various cruise lines, to make sure that the layout is something that you enjoy and something that you'll have fun with. When we first got on the ship, it was not organized, so it would probably be advantageous to know the ship layout, so that way you can kind of roam around, because again, you can't get into your room until a certain time. What you're seeing now is me kind of scanning around at different times on the ship, the different areas. I'll go into the room and the food and the gym a little bit later, because those were really the main places where I stayed. Here's another clip of what it will be like being on the ship. So for me, of course, I didn't have an expectation, but when you consider that you're on a ship in the middle of the ocean, you know, that could be a lot to soak in for someone, especially if they're not used to being on a boat or used to the movement of the water. But it wasn't that bad. I really only felt it when we were coming back from our location and the waters were really choppy and I was on the back of the ship. But for the most part, on the 11th floor, I think we were, there really wasn't that big of an issue in terms of me feeling movement. You're seeing me walk around now. You can see the other cruise lines in the background, but you're seeing me walk around the exercise area outside. There is a kids area on this ship, which is, I believe, on the back of the ship towards the upper decks. But the gym was nice. It was everything that I needed it to be, and I was able to get some good workouts in. The gym had a great view. Depending on when you go, it can be crowded, but I usually went right before they closed, which I believe was 8 or 9 o'clock. And I didn't have an issue with bumping into too many people. Like I said, the gym had everything that I would have asked for, being on a cruise. And I didn't feel the ship moving while I was in the gym. The equipment was pretty good, and it was interesting to get into the gym because you have to go through the spa area in order to get through the gym. At first I couldn't find it, but once you find the spa area, if you go through the sides, the respective locker rooms, then you'll find it. But again, it was good. Now what you're seeing are different areas that you can go on the cruise for activities and various nights. There's usually an itinerary where you can find out where all the activities are. And these are the different rooms that you can go in for those activities. I had the intention once I got on the ship to kind of find a place and stay there. So I didn't really interact or mingle with different people. Although if I went at a different time and had the intention of really partying, then I'm pretty sure I would have had an amazing time. We'll talk about the drinks later, but this is just to again show you there are a lot of different places where you can go on the ship itself. There is a casino. I can't remember which floor it's on, but there is one that's available. They're taking pictures all over the place for memories and, of course, offering drinks. The music was pretty good. No complaints there. takes a lot to be able to stand up in front of people and sing, so kudos to them. One thing that really does make or break the cruise experience is the cruise director. And in another video you will see Stefan, I believe his name was, which is good that I actually remember it. But Stefan was pretty engaged throughout the cruise.
Here we go. 1, 0, 7, 5, 1, 2, 9. Cassandra! Hey, Cassandra, how are you? Let's see. It's gonna be high. You know what Rick's gonna say anyhow. No, we're gonna open 3 cases again.
I'm sorry. I have to take the deal.
Paul took the deal!
There was too many people just
It's a deal for Paul! So that means...
Now we're going to go into the rooms. I won't talk as much so you can see it. Just remember that it is a cruise line, so if you're noise sensitive, be mindful of where you select your room to be. And it was an older cruise ship, so take that into consideration in selecting your cruise. So the room was clean enough to enjoy. I didn't have any issues. The individual who helped with cleaning the room was nice, friendly, and took care of us when we needed, and was very approachable. So no issues with the room. The only concern or issue that I did have was it was actually fairly noisy. Our neighbors were, so choose when you go on the cruise and which cruise line and cruise ship you go on very carefully. If food is really important to you in your cruise experience, I would do some extra research on which cruise line and which cruise ships have the best food. In my opinion, the buffet was catered towards or seasoned for large groups of people. So I just stuck with things that you really can't mess up, like fried shrimp and pizza and salads. And sticking with that, I was able to get through the cruise. The drinks, you have to find the right people or the right section, and when you find it, stick with it, because if not, you will probably get watered down drinks, just in my experience. And don't forget to bring your own straw, and if necessary, your own cup. Food options that you had to pay extra for, those tended to be better than the buffet option. I enjoyed myself for the time that we were off of the ship. Just make sure that you set an alarm to get back on time, because there's nothing like hearing that big horn and not being where you should be. So we went to the Bahamas. It was pretty hot. Lovely, friendly people. I will say that when we initially got out of the gate, to be in the Bahamas or outside of the docking area, that it was very crowded, and as to be expected, people want to offer their products and services with or to you. So just make sure that you bring some extra patience, and consider any cultural or language barriers that may be there. What you're seeing now is the crowded area that I was referring to. If you can see right there between the buses, that's where the majority of everyone went across to get to the different shops and things. When you first get on the other side of this partition, that you'll see multiple people are offering taxis or different excursions or sightseeing, but again, just make sure that you set multiple alarms, and also ensure that you have your passport and your card to get back on the cruise ship, because there were some people who weren't able to get back through because they forgot their passport or their cruise ship documents. We didn't spend that much time off of the ship. We just walked around a little bit just to kind of get off the ship and stretch our legs. But I would say that if you're going with a group, just make sure, again, you have that communication plan and set multiple alarms to ensure that everybody is back on time. So my overall experience with Carnival, specifically Carnival Conquest, was positive. Didn't have any issues that would prevent me from going again. However, I would select a different cruise ship on Carnival. I'd probably go with a newer one, and maybe even, depending on the nature of the trip, if I wanted a more relaxed and easygoing trip, I may go with a different cruise line. But overall, no complaints, and I hope that you take away a few things that can make your trip on Carnival, specifically the Carnival Conquest or any cruise in general, to your liking.